Girls basketball team wins 161-2. I was surprised that they disrespect the opponent and run up the score. Freshman year, we only won one match in volleyball.
I'm not really that surprised about that. I mean, the winning team should always continue to play hard, always be doing their best. And that same thing happened for me, except I was on the winning side and we mercied the baseball team 18-0.
Little league team recruits players illegally. I think it's really unfair for the players of Jack Robinson West that the managers, administrators, and coaches illegally recruited them to win.
I mean, people are making it out to be a lot worse than it actually is. They only did what they did to win, just recruit a couple extra people.
And a doctor distributes steroids to athletes as young as 15. Players shouldn't take steroids because it's the easy way out to increase performance and it's unethical.
I mean, it's impossible to avoid steroid ruse, so it should just be rather regulated instead. So, a couple questions. In the game, why was the score run up so high? Did the Little League coaches have to recruit outside the boundary lines in order to be successful? And for steroids, is it ethical for people to be using steroids to begin with?
And in our real life examples, the girls basketball team continued to press the other team despite the large lead. For the entire half, the next half in the third quarter, they ran a half court press and they didn't put on a running clock until the fourth quarter. So through reason, we know that this is ethically wrong to kick someone while they're down. However, societal standards may not be up to date. In current society, it is becoming more and more okay to do actions that we are conceived as unethical to get ahead of the competition.
So, this is just a trend that we've been noticing in society ourselves. It's just this general trend of people always doing whatever they can and whatever they need to be doing in order just to get ahead of everyone else.
When we first started this project, the first knowledge question we considered was that in sports, to what extent does the situation affect the perceived notion of right or wrong in actions? And after some time, we decided to modify it and develop it to what extent are ethics in sports relative? And for our knowledge question, we are using WKs and AOKs, which are emotion, reason, language, intuition, memory, and ethics.
So the way in which this knowledge question is related to sports and ethics is it allows us to investigate and gain a stronger understanding of the motives of people who perform unethical actions to win. Also explores the extent of which these actions can be seen as ethical or unethical in sports, depending on the different scenarios. Another big thing is relative. So relativity is based on the different perspectives, which are all influenced by personal experiences and societal standards. We're also making the assumption that there's no single way to look at a situation. So in this first scenario, just first of all, in all instances, the students should be competing to the best of their ability. We can explore why this is true using reason. The objective of any sports game is obviously to win, and using this, we can reason out that in order to complete this objective, the competitors must be performing their best to ensure that this goal is actually achieved. Now, if they're not playing to their best of their ability, they risk having an increased chance of losing to the other team. So in the example given, from the perspective of the winning team, the student players did what they think was most reasonable and gave them the highest possibility of victory. While sportsmanship typically keeps points relatively close, their ethical knowledge of the game did not match the ethical knowledge that was held by the opposing team, who thought that running up the score was unethical and disrespectful.
Our counterclaim is that sportsmanship should be practiced and the score should not be run up when an opponent is down. Through reason, we know that it is wrong to beat up on people with lesser ability and embarrass them. Humans have an intuitive sense where they know they should ease up on others and cannot match their level of play. In this example, the fourth quarter was put on a running clock and starters were pulled after halftime, but more should have been done. Based on memory, this was a 14-1 team that had already won games by 98, 81, 74, 73, and 67 points, facing a 0-9 team that had already lost by 91 earlier in the season. With a halftime score of 104-1, it would have been ethical to call the game. Sportsmanship and regulations are put into place to keep competition fair, and through this, we know that it is ethical to have respect for opponents and see them as people instead of enemies to crush. Drawing a conclusion from our different perspectives, performance in sports can be both ethical and unethical. Everyone should always try to perform to the best of their abilities, because that's what sports is for. Sportsmanship is a concept that is implemented to maintain a sense of humanity and certain minimal respect levels for your opponents.
So similarities can be drawn between the sports today and events like gladiators battling at the Roman Colosseum where they fight to the death and spectators become root for fighters just to satisfy their entertainment needs. Now, the entertainment concept, it's prevalent in sports today, but the rules and regulations in sportsmanships have been keeping competitors from beating each other up endlessly, similarly to what has happened to the gladiators that fought in the Roman Colosseum in ancient Rome.
Based on today's societal standards, it is unethical to harm opponents physically or mentally. For example, it is okay to beat opponents by a large margin, but players should not intentionally make opponents feel bad about themselves. Unlike the times of the Roman Colosseum, where gladiators could fight to the death, the societal standards today will not allow that to happen. Overall, athletes should not hold back, and they always should try their best.
Therefore, we can make the claim that ethical knowledge is relative and it just varies from one person to another person, from one team to another team, and so on.
For our second scenario, it is about a Little League team that recruited players outside its boundary lines to be more competitive. Our claim for this is wanting to be competitive causes corruption in positions of authority. Through intuition, people have a desire to be competitive and win. This causes an emotional response to win in any way possible, where the ends justifies the means. It's like a Machiavellian thing. In this example, the managers, administrators, and coaches of Jackie Robinson West recruited players from outside their boundary lines in order to stack the team and win games. It is not ethical to use kids for personal glory, where the end goal was receiving publicity and coverage on ESPN and other sports-related news networks like Bleacher Report and other sources like that. In this situation, the people in positions of authority practice unethical behavior to be competitive for personal gain. Through reason, this is not ethical because society has taught us that it is wrong to use others and then take credit for the accomplishments.
Now, I will be presenting the counterclaim for this one, and for the counterclaim we have that being in a position of authority makes you want to promote fairness of competition. So in this Little League example, once it was discovered that the Jackie Robinson West team had cheated, the Little League organization stepped in and they stripped them of their title and along with all the other championships they had won. So through the reason, it's ethical for Little League to disqualify the team from its wins and to promote fairness of competition within the league. One of their main goals is obviously to have fairness within teams to ensure everything's going right. And since the team of Jackie Robinson West had cheated, the people in the higher position of authority, they made the ethical choice and made it clear that the cheating was wrong and that the unethical actions would rather be punished. So that is where the limit of the claim exists. There will always be extraneous forces and extraneous things that are acting upon certain instances and scenarios where you can't really specify it down to just one specific thing.
Drawing a conclusion from these two different perspectives, we see that competition brings out different perspectives in people of authority. The degree of involvement influences the actions of people in authority. The people in authority that receive benefits, in this case for Jackie Robinson West, it was the coaches and the administrators of the team, they will not see these actions as unethical because they would reap the benefits. In comparison to the people in authority, the administrators of the Little League itself have to fix the consequences of the unethical benefits. They don't reap the benefits, and it's unethical.
So, in essence, those who are involved with a certain behavior, they'll be more likely to see it as ethical to justify it, whereas those who are the spectators of it, or they're just not involved with it, will be more likely to see that behavior as unethical and wrong. So it all just matters about the degree of involvement.